Gentlemen, welcome back. You're back with MGTOW Money. Of course, this is the only MGTOW channel dedicated to helping you make money and achieve a rich life. Today's topic is going to be a power law you should know that you can make money from, as well as, most importantly, achieve greater happiness and contentment. Before we get to today's topic, I want to, of course, sincerely thank all of the ongoing Patreon supporters of this channel, as well as those guys who bought me a cup of coffee based upon the last video. Gentlemen, please consider doing so. Step up to the plate. See the video description of today's video. Let's get on to today's topic, a power law you need to know and making money from it. Gentlemen, specifically the power law, statistical power law that I'm describing is something Joseph Juran said. Joseph Juran, by the way, was a management consultant famous during the 1930s and 40s. And specifically, he referred to the important few or precious few and trivial many. Another way of putting it is separating the signal from the noise. And I've referred to this power law a lot, and specifically what I'm talking about is the 80-20 rule, or also known as the Pareto principle. Gentlemen, I'm going to include one of the most influential books in my life in terms of just my overall thought process when I'm thinking about things and analyzing things. It's from Richard Koch. I'll include a link to my recommendation of one of his books in the video description. I highly recommend you read his book, and well, as it's not a heavy read, it's not difficult to get through, as well as, of course, you can pick up the audio version. All right, before we get into this, let's, of course, define what we're talking about, the 80-20 rule, because it gets talked about a lot, but most people don't seem to understand it. Let me just give you some examples. 80% of car accidents, for example, are caused by 20% of drivers. 80% of crimes are caused by 20% of criminals. 80% of a company's sales actually probably come from 20% of their clients, etc., etc. The point is, although it may not be exactly 80-20, you get this imbalance. And then we're going to be talking about that in just a second. Let me give you another example that I was just thinking about earlier. 20% of MGTOW channels get 80% of the subscribers. In other words, there's a few number of MGTOW channels that get the vast majority of MGTOW subscribers. That's just a factual statement. If you'll look at the playlist in terms of the videos that I've done, 20% of the videos actually have approximately 80% of the views. In other words, there's a few videos I have done that are extremely popular, and then most of them, frankly, don't get, relatively speaking, a lot of views. The bottom line is, gentlemen, the world is imbalanced. In other words, 20% of the inputs are generating 80% of the outputs. Again, I can't emphasize enough. It may not be 80-20. That may not be the exact number, but you get the idea. So let's roll on in terms of, let's start thinking about how we can use the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, in actionable ways that you can use to find a rich life, starting with number one. Quickly, tell me 1, 2, or even 3 things, it's probably just 1 or 2, of those things that come immediately to mind that's causing you the most unhappiness, that's keeping you up at night. There's only a couple of things, maybe 3 things, that are absolutely killing you, that are really causing a headache for you. Those few things you need to identify and focus on, gentlemen. There's only a few of them. Example, I'm heavily in debt, or I'm smoking and I know I've got to give it up, or man, I've got this girl and I can't, she's driving me crazy. You get the idea, gentlemen. There's only a couple of things, maybe 3 at the most, but I'm betting only 2 that immediately will come to mind that are causing most of your unhappiness. Therefore, once you've identified those couple of things, start focusing on changing them, reducing them, avoiding them, eliminating them, etc. Obviously, I can't be more specific than that because I don't know your specific situation. I've done videos on dealing with various issues, but you get the idea. You've got to, number one, identify them, and that identification allows you to focus on them, and then you got to fix them, avoid them, eliminate them. 2, where is 80% of your money going? Where is 80% of your money being spent, gentlemen? Hopefully you're tracking it, but if you're not, of course, again, I've mentioned this so many times in the past. Three most common things are housing, transport, and food in the Western world. Housing, transport, and food in that order, gentlemen. What are you doing to eliminate or reduce that 80% of where most of your money's being spent? Even if that doesn't apply to you, gentlemen, what is that 80% category for you? What are those 2-3 items, those 2-3 areas of spending that are taking most of your money? That's a question, not a statement. What are you doing to reduce that 80%? What can you do? I guarantee you there is something you can do to reduce that spending, and correspondingly with the savings that you get, put that towards debt that you probably have. And if you're fortunate enough not to have any debt, then start investing it and making more money and creating additional streams of income, as I talked about during the last video. 3, where are your 80% happiness islands, if you will? This came out of Richard Koch's book. He talks about, look, there's only a few things that you do that really make you happy, that you don't need to be pushed to do. You're pulled to do. In other words, they're like a magnet to you. You don't have to, you would do them, you would pay to do them. Nobody has to pay you to do these things. You willingly, voluntarily, really, really enjoy them. Whether that be playing guitar, whether that be jogging on a regular basis, whether that be playing video games, whatever it might be, gentlemen. There's only a few things that you do nearly every day or as often as you possibly can that generates most of your happiness. Again, focus on what are those 2-3 things that you do on a regular basis that really pulls you. 2, what can you do, gentlemen, to start spending more time on them, to spend more time on Happiness Island as opposed to Fantasy Island, and stop fantasizing about a better life. Think about how you can rearrange your schedule. If you've got to get up 15 minutes earlier in the morning to go do something that you really enjoy, that's the point, gentlemen. Look, we all have only a finite amount of time. Everybody across the world, no matter how much money you've got, you have 24 hours in a day, of course, gentlemen. If you're like most people, gentlemen, during the work week, you probably only have about 6 hours to spend on your happiness island. Of course, I'm taking out time for sleep. I'm taking out time for work. I'm taking out time for commuting to and from work. So you probably only have 6 hours during the week to really concentrate on your happiness islands. And my point is, you want to start reducing the amount of time that you're spending on that unhappy stuff, that 20% that's causing that 80% of your unhappiness, and start increasing the 20% of the happiness stuff, the things that really, really move you. All right, let's quickly sum up here, gentlemen. Look, the universe is completely imbalanced in just about everything. I heard a video the other day, and a guy mentioned that 95% of the taxes in the United States are paid by 5% of the population. 5% of the population is paying 95% of the taxes in the United States. Again, the world is imbalanced. It is the way it is. There's nothing we can do about it, gentlemen. We can only work with what we've got. So start focusing on 1. What are the few things that are keeping you up at night? Identify those few simple things, and they may not be simple, but the point is, start thinking about how you can quickly and easily change those things, reduce those things, eliminate those things. There's got to be something you can do. Yes, gentlemen, get this. There are always going to be trade-offs. There aren't necessarily solutions in life. You've got to accept that. 2, what's the 80% where most of your money is going? I remember years ago, I'd get paid, and sometimes it'd be like, where did all my money go? And you know what I'm talking about. The point being, you've got to get focused on where's your money going. Start focusing and start thinking about it's probably going to one of those 3 categories that I mentioned before. How can you reduce those? How can you minimize those? How can you correspondingly take that savings and start applying it to something more productive? Specifically, ideally, pushing it towards investing and generating another additional stream of income. Next, Where's the 80% of your happiness coming from? What are those few things, gentlemen, those few activities that are pulling you, that you feel like I was made to do this, that you feel like, hey, I do this better than nearly everybody I know? That's what you want to be focused on, gentlemen, that those 20%, those few things that you do on a regular basis, your sweet spot in life, your talent in life, because yes, you do have something that you can do better than nearly anyone else, or certainly better than average, far better than average, I'm sure. All right, gentlemen, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you got something out of that. As always, John Galt out.